How do you have a conscious uncoupling? Or how do you have a conscious breakup? A breakup that doesn't have to be traumatic to either of the partners. And really, you can't control that, but you can do your best. As we were discussing in the last videos, you might come to a place where you realize that you're in an unconscious relationship and you want a conscious relationship. And you might try to bring consciousness into that relationship. There are two ways that can go. It can go like the role play that you and I had, where you try to bring consciousness into the relationship and I'm receptive to it. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, yeah, I actually could own some of this too, and I'd really like to work on this together. Or it can go the other way, where I'm interested in talking and having a different, like I'm wanting something more from the relationship, and the other person is not. The other person is fine with it. And we've determined from that conversation that we want two different things. Really, the conscious uncoupling comes from the agreement that we both want two different things. Mm-hmm. And I want you to have what you want, and I hope that you want me to have what I want too. Neither of us are in a place where this is what we both want. Mm-hmm. So is that we could do a role play, but first of all, does that seem anything to add there, or?
No, I think that's right. It would be nice to be able to model the breaking of a relationship. I mean, people in a relationship really invest a lot in there, and it just can bring up so many parts of us that feel unworthy, or that we couldn't, a failure, that we couldn't fix it. So to be able to uncouple in a way that makes both people feel okay. It's not, I mean, it is personal,
It is, right.
But not to attach people personally, which is shaming them. So not shaming people, but just acknowledging the differences.
Right. Both of us want two different things, mm-hmm. and you're entitled to want what you want, and there's nothing wrong for you for wanting what you want. There's nothing wrong with me for wanting what I want. And that way, neither partner has to be wrong.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. Good approach.
So it could be used in dating, more importantly, be used in long-term relationship, because that's mm-hmm. where more is at stake.
Yes, absolutely.
So you want to do a role play?
Sure.
And you might find that sometimes when you break up with someone, you actually do find, there is an opening for us to both want the same thing. So we don't know how this is going to end.
Okay.
So we're just going to...
Interesting.
Okay.
All right.
Is it okay if we have a talk right now?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Thank you. There's something that's been on my mind, and I actually have been feeling really afraid to talk about it because I'm not sure how you're going to respond. I know I've talked with you before about feeling unfulfilled in the relationship.
Yeah.
So wanting more emotional connection.
Yeah.
I know that you mentioned feeling fulfilled in the relationship,
mm-hmm.
and you feel like our connection is, our connection is
I'm
fine.
great, yeah.
Yeah. What occurs to me is that the ideal relationship that you want, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like it's kind of different than the ideal relationship that I want.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I want to love somebody, and, I want somebody to love me, and somebody to do things with, and to plan a life together, and make plans with each other, and those aren't the things that you want?
Yeah, definitely all of those things. To love someone and have someone love me. There are a lot of times where I like to talk about emotional things. I like to talk about how I feel sad about what happened with my mother the other day, or how I feel angry about certain things, and I'm just sharing how I feel. At least as I'm recalling, those don't seem like conversations that you like to have. I could be wrong.
Yeah, usually I'm really busy, I'm on my way out to work, or just not really a great time.
Yeah. I feel like if I were going to be in a relationship that would really fulfill me, it would be a relationship where those are things that we have time for, or we make time for.
Yeah, well, obviously you're not happy with the way that I'm interacting with you. You don't feel like it's enough, or I'm enough.
Yeah, well, I like the conversation that we're having right now.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we could have more conversations like this, where we're just talking about what's happening for us. This feels like a very honest conversation.
So what is it that you want, Percy? What are you saying?
Right now, it feels like if we don't have time, if I'm hearing you right, that you don't like having emotional conversations like this. Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I don't know that I don't like it. It just never seems like the right time.
Okay, got it. I think I got that wrong then. It never seems like the right time to have those conversations.
Yeah, like I can't concentrate on what it is that I'm just so busy. I just don't have time to focus in.
So I think it sounds like there's not enough time for that, and you're okay with that.
Yeah, I think at this point life is just so busy. I mean, I can give you what I can give you, and it just doesn't sound to me like what I can give you is enough for you.
Okay. Yeah, just taking ownership for how I feel. Right? I feel unfulfilled, and I feel like there is something that I need in a relationship that I'm not getting. You feel perfectly fine with what's here, and so it sounds like the two of us want different things.
Yeah, it sounds like that too.
Right. So I think it's okay for us to want different things, and I want you to have what you want.
Yeah, I want you to be happy. Definitely want you to be happy and feel fulfilled, and it doesn't seem like this is the relationship that's going to do that for you.
Yeah, I think so. And I want you to find a person that is satisfied in the relationship that you want. So yeah, I'm really glad we had this talk. You know, since it seems like we both want different things, we might want to go our separate ways. I'm not sure what relationship you want after that, but you know, we can work with that. I'm happy to have conversations like these to determine, okay, how are we going to get along not being together the same way that we were before?
Yeah, we probably should talk about that. And yeah, because I'm a little upset right now, and yeah, I don't know how all this is going to work. And I put so much into this relationship, and now you're telling me you're unhappy with me, and that you don't want to stay with me. So I'm just very hurt right now.
Yeah, I could see that being hurtful. Yeah, I'm really sorry that it's coming across that I'm unhappy with you. I can totally understand how it comes across that way. For me, it feels like we want two different things, and I don't think there's anything wrong with you. Yeah, I think you're totally entitled to want what you want.
Yeah, well, I was happy and everything, Percy. So it really isn't me. It's you that's unhappy. So that's.
It is me that's unhappy.
Yeah.
I can own that.
Yeah, and I tried my best, really did, but
I know you did.
It doesn't seem we're a good match.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks for having this conversation, and it hurts me to have this conversation too. It makes me sad. Maybe we should come back later and determine like what we need to do with our stuff and whatnot. But I can't talk logistics right now.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay.
Yeah, me
Cool.
neither. So I wasn't trying to be very conscious. It would have been too easy to be a conscious partner. You know, in that dialogue between us. That's why I was a little resistant. And I could have gotten really like, because I've had practice with it.
Well,
been really like, F you.
Yeah. Well, right.
Yeah.
You seemed very conscious to me in that conversation. You know, you didn't seem like you were deliberately trying to be conscious. That was like a medium. Like
Yeah.
in a mild, medium, spicy.
Yeah,
that was a medium.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, yeah, like I said, I didn't want to be like a crazy person. But I think in the majority of situations, as we're trying to get the message out about how people can be more self-aware and conscious, we know that the reality is people are often, their parts are triggered by a breakup.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because of all the things that have happened leading up to the breakup,
Yes.
and they haven't processed any of that,
Yes.
so they have more and more their walls up.
Yes.
So even if you try to say it in a conscious way, they can't even receive it.
Can't even receive it. And that's where I was coming from with,
F you.
yeah, or I'm doing everything that I've tried to do, you know, it's your problem that you're not happy, kind of. That's where I was trying to go with that, because most people are not going inward to basically see, you know, to say what you're saying. It's very triggering.
Yeah. So the
Very
fact that
triggering.
you were in that space, they're like, F you. That tells you that whatever therapy or coaching that they participate in is not the right modality.
Yeah.
That's why we're all trying to say how powerful internal
Yes.
family systems is
Yes.
for everything
Yes.
that you have to do. All the
Yes.
courageous conversations that you have to have. Not only in love, but also at work or with the kids, or with your mom or dad that triggers you everybody.
Well, the other thing that I really like too is Percy was not, when I was challenging you, you were not reacting emotionally. You stayed steady.
Mm.
So I think that's challenging for people to do who haven't done internal work with something like internal family systems. It is that emotionalism, that reaction that comes out, and I appreciated that you kept that steady energy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, granted, as has been said before, it's easier in a role play.
Yeah, it is. And when things are like zing, 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 zing.
Right, and
yeah.
you have a whole history with a person,
Yes.
and all of these, all these feelings that have been formed.
All your dreams
Yeah.
with that person, your future was with that person.
Yeah.
It's
So
hard.
that's why it's so important to, before you even have that conscious uncoupling conversation, that one goes through IFS therapy or coaching to figure out all these feelings, so that by the time you're ready to have that conversation, you're not just vomiting all your anger,
Yes.
resentments.
And I'd say that was probably one of the best things of IFS is to not feel emotionally reactive to everything. From simple things to big things.
Mom did this. Oh, you know
Yes.
what? Let me zoom out. It's just a protector
Yes.
inside of her. It's
Yes.
nothing to do with me.
Yes.
And that's
Yep.
what's just so powerful about this. What I loved about how you began, and I think this is a good takeaway for the audience, is you asked permission.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay if we have this talk right now? There's something I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because if she says no, then okay,
Yeah.
not the right time. Can we make an appointment?
Right.
And considering my character was avoidant, maybe that would have been a good way to start that. No, it's not a good time.
Okay. Right.
Because that's basically what she said,
Right.
right? Every time that you wanted to have an emotional conversation, she didn't want to go there.
Right.
Definitely more to that internally for her parts,
Right.
right?
Right. At this point, at least in the conscious character, like I've made peace with the idea that I can't change who this person is,
Yes.
and nor do I want to. I want them to be them.
Yes.
And then the second thing that we keep teaching for people to say is, you said, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid to even have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
and I've used that before in many instances where I've had conflict with people and I just like drop down.
Yeah.
And then they become ready to receive whatever it is that I have to say, the vulnerabilities.
Right. They can see your vulnerability, so it kind of gets them out of the, defensive attack mode, gets them more into the, okay, I'm with the person who's afraid,
Yeah.
and I can put down my sword now.
Mm-hmm.
The other option, even though we're doing a role play, the other option that works beautifully is writing all of this down.
Mm-hmm.
Writing it down, typing it out. If they don't want to have a conversation, sending it via email. But make sure that you go to an IFS therapist to make sure that the email is self-led.
Yes.
Speaking for parts.
Yes.
I've made that mistake before
Yes.
where I thought I was self-led in the
Yes.
email, but it was like, it was coming from a part.
Yeah.
And then I had to apologize afterwards. So that's another trick. And another...
Permission for the email. When you mentioned consent, so
Great idea,
consent
yes,
is in.
yes.
So yeah, consent. Do I have consent to open this have this conversation? No. Okay. Is it okay? I have some thoughts. Is it okay if I send it by email, or could we make another discussion? Because when people are hit by an email without without any expectation of having an email or consent for that,
I've been guilty of that.
That can be a little bit hard. So consent to send to have an important conversation over email, if we can't, especially if we can't have it in person, would be a good thing.
Yeah, no, I was just putting down the main points of what I've observed, asking permission, I'm afraid, and then some of the other videos we said, I'm curious, a part of me.
Yeah, and I think really keeping it on my side of the street as far as what's happening for me. And when I get that wrong, if I say something, I'm like, what I think I'm perceiving is that you want something different than what I want. And correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm not telling that person about who she is. I'm saying how I see her. And I'd like to know if I'm correct about that.
Yes.
And when I get it wrong, like there was something that I got wrong as far as, you don't want to have emotional conversations. It's just like, well, there's just not enough time. okay, I got that wrong. It doesn't feel like the right time for you when that happens. That's fair.